Hi, I'm Greg Schaefer, and welcome to the Virtual CISO Moment. Rich Bates joins me today. He brings more than 3 decades of experience in governance, risk, and compliance of the cybersecurity space, helping organizations navigate complex frameworks like CMMC and NIST 800-171 with confidence. As a fractional CIO and trusted advisor, he specializes in translating technical challenges into clear, executive-level strategies that not only achieve compliance, but also turn it into a competitive advantage. With a background leading enterprise cybersecurity programs and driving audit readiness across hundreds of controls, Rich is known for his practical, business-focused approach to the risk management, cybersecurity culture, and regulatory environment. Rich, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Greg. It's a great pleasure to be here.
And now that I got my screen buttons all figured out, ready to dive into our first part, where this is one of my favorite parts of this, because I get to learn so much about my guests just like in the first 5 minutes. So tell us about why you got into this very stressful yet very fulfilling field, and take us through your career path up to where you're at today.
Sure. To go way back, my dad was a career naval intelligence officer, and he saw the advantages that computers were going to actually have. Now, mind you, this was back in the days of green bar paper, no screens, and an acoustic coupler for your desktop telephone. And he just said, this is the direction you've got to go. This is the career path you want. Get moving on it. So as a senior in high school, I started messing around with computers. We got our first home computer, which was a Commodore PET 2001 with a whopping 4K of memory.
Oh, I love the PETs. That was the first one that I worked on in high school.
Yeah, and with the cassette tape mass storage and the 4-inch screen, something like that.
Yeah, but it was great. It's like I gotta put myself up here. It had all those keys on there that had all those different figures, like, you could graphic figures like built into the keys, which it was really cool for me as a high school student.
Yeah, it was great fun. It really was. So that's where I started. And through my career, I have touched just about every part of IT that you can think of except for networking. I really feel that networking is run by magical gnomes and unicorns. So I let those guys take care of that. But I started into my GRC journey when I was the vice president of technical operations for ServerVault, which was a very high security data hosting company out of Ashburn, Virginia. And believe it or not, it was 2005 and NIST 853 just dropped. And back then it was only about, 175 pages. Now I think it's up to close to 500. I don't know. But we put ourselves through a SAS Trust and a SIS 70 audit, a third-party audit for 5 years. And that kind of got my feet wet. And then for the past 13 years, I was running the IT department of a moderately sized government defense contractor. And when 800-171 dropped, I went back to my CEO and I said, we got to follow this. This is going to be mandated. So let's get moving on it. Because of the time, we were trying to adhere to literally 400 randomly selected controls that our contracting officer had given us. And so that's what got me here. And now with CMMC in full effect, what I'm trying to do is build a practice here that helps the small and medium-sized business get through that, because it can be very overwhelming, but it's not impossible. We can get folks through it. So there you go. More than 30 years in under 3 minutes.
Very cool and very efficient. So fair to say that you jumped into the entrepreneur world. You're working for yourself now, right?
Yes. As of October 3rd, I struck out on my own. Not too far from you, just down the road here in lovely Spring Hill, Tennessee.
Yes.
And yeah, I've got 3-4 clients right now that I'm helping out, and a couple more on the horizon.
We could have done this in person. I look out my window right here, and I'm looking at the Nissan building in Cool Springs. So, you know where that's at. Probably
Yeah,
most people don't know where that's at. So
we should have just met at the well and set up shop there.
Okay, we're going to go remote. Let's get the microwave truck out front, right? Well, I need to ask you first. It's not quite security related, at least not cyber or information security, but certainly financial security and career security related. It's a big leap to go from working for others to working for yourself. I did the same thing. It'll be 9 years in July, and I have to tell you that I won't go back, can't go back. Best decision I ever made. Um, what has been your experience thus far making that leap?
First of all, you have to find a community. Being a solopreneur, working from home, that sort of thing, you will not make it by yourself. Now, I'm not totally alone. My facility security officer is right over there. He's snoozing on the couch. But I have found 2 or 3 communities that they're online, whether they're on Slack, whether they're in person or whatever. And it's just, you've got to set aside a couple hours a week to really reach out and touch base with other human beings. And I try to get out at least once a week to meet people in person. And honestly, most of them are right by you up in Cool Springs. I mean, we just pick that spot and that's where we show up. But I think for anybody that's going to step out on their own, you've got to get that sense of community. You've got to find your tribe. I know that used to be a thing, that you went out and found your tribe, but you've got to do it, and not necessarily in your field. You don't want to, if you work in cybersecurity, you don't want to be necessarily surrounded by cybersecurity folks. You want to be surrounded by financial folks, marketing folks, operations folks, such like that. But find a community that's not going to sit there and say, "Oh, you want my help? Okay, here's my invoice." No. You've got to find a community where it's like, I am up against this problem. I don't know how to handle it. I am very late to the AI game, very late. Like I'm in my 3rd week of playing around with it. And I reached out to a number of folks and I said, help me out here. And man, one post on a Slack channel and I was inundated with links and get this newsletter, get that newsletter, that sort of thing. And sure enough, I've built a Claude project that anytime somebody sends me a legal document, I feed it in there and Claude comes back with a page and a half of, here's why you don't want to sign it.
Yeah, I've used chat for very close the same reason there. So
yeah, well, what I like about Claude is I'm using CoWork, so it keeps it really local on your machine. It doesn't spit it out to the cloud, crank on it there, and then bring it back. I mean, you got to pay for it, but it's not that expensive.
Well, I think it's probably like it's an either or. There's always going to be a risk whether you keep it local or you put it on the cloud. Like for me, I use chat. I put stuff out there, but I pay for the whatever the tier is that keeps it supposedly private. I mean, everything is integrated. I'm talking to you on a Linux machine right now where I have stuff stored on Google Drive for it, and same thing with Microsoft. At some point in time, we as a society have come to the point of accepting that there are some risks that are okay, but then again, you have the risk of like if you're keeping it local. For some of us, like for me, there's more risk there because I don't have I'd have to work harder to have a backup copy. I'd have to work harder to set it up. So I make that risk management decision. I don't think that there's a right decision. It's whatever's right for the individual,
Sure. You're constantly doing everybody says, "Whoa, risk analysis, that's hard to do." Well, you do it every day as a human being, as a person.
Yeah, I mean, when you're driving up 65 from Spring Hill to Cool Springs in itself is an exercise in massive risk management.
Yep.
So, but you mentioned about AI. I think that that a lot of folks are going down the same path. And I know I've talked about it on here. I used AI to assist me in building an app on oh gosh, what do you call that? Vibe coding platform called Bubble, and I use it to help run my business now. It's kind of like a vCISO CRM in a way. But what do you think about like the security implications of that? And since your specialty is CMMC, what does CMMC have to say about that?
There are two paths we can go down there. So let's go down the harder one first. CMMC is pretty cut and dried. If you're using a cloud service provider for anything, it better be FedRAMP based.
Right.
If it's not, and please don't go down the whole FedRAMP equivalent thing. That's just a waste of everybody's time and money. And that's my personal opinion. So take it for what you will. But if you're going to integrate AI into your CMMC regulated business, and that's 100% of DoD. Let's just put that out there right now. It better be in a FedRAMP environment. Otherwise, your assessor's going to look at you and say, no. If you're not using it for CMMC related work, then it's got to be gapped somehow. You've got to keep your enclave away from your AI tools. Or again, you're going to get dinged pretty hard. So the other path to go down is that there are a lot of AI tools out there that are saying, just feed all your information into that tool and we'll get you CMMC compliant in a week. And the general consensus out there, and I'm not even going to label this as my own, personal opinion, because it's more than that, is no, don't do that. I mean, you can use it as a tool. You can use it as augmentation. There are a couple tools out there that do a really good job of, feed it your policies and it will write a first pass of your SSP. I'm sorry, system security plan, for people who don't know what an SSP is. But you better put eyes on it. You better have the human Mark 1 version 1 eyeball put on that thing, because there are nuances in CMMC that can really come up and bite you in the rear.
Yeah, and I want to go down that path just a little bit. CMMC, I think, presents a confusion out there, particularly for subcontractors. I'm aware that there are some out there, subcontractors, that even now they realize that they most likely will have to be CMMC compliant because the primary needs to be, and eventually that's going to float down to them in contract. And yet there's still this feeling that some of them are dragging their feet as far as really buckling up and going through, if needed, the C3PAO audit process. How much of a danger is that to them in their relationship with their primary? And if it is a danger, what should they be focusing on now?
Yeah, it is a very real danger. Harris L3, Grumman, and there's one other big prime house, and the name escapes me right now, have already put out memos saying to their subcontractors, if you are not CMMC compliant by X date, we are not going to be calling you. And that's real. With Harris L3, I believe it was in their rocket division. Their missile and rocket division that is directly affected, and that means that you no longer get your contracts, and if you are strictly a DoD contractor, you lose your business. You may go out of business, and that's one of the things that drives me, is that back during the internet bubble, actually towards the end of it, I had my own business writing cold fusion and active server pages, and I went out to my mailbox one day expecting to pick up 3 checks, and instead I picked up 3 bankruptcy notices. So I know what it's like to have X number of years of effort and such just ripped out from under you, overnight. And that's one of the things that drives me, is that I want to get with these small and medium-sized businesses and not have that happen. But it's very real, Greg. It's very real. And what should they be concentrating on? First of all, there are the basic things, and there is some confusion still about, if your prime is CMMC level 2 third-party assessment, and you're a second or third tier sub, do you have to get to that same level?
Right, and that's what I was going to ask, because you said that become CMMC compliant. I was going to ask, what does that exactly mean in this case for those? So yeah, we're on the same page. Go ahead.
Yeah, right. When CMMC first came out, it was at least my understanding that the flow down was 100% period. If Grumman said, if the Grumman contract was CMMC level 2 third party, then the mom and pop machine shop in Poughkeepsie had to be CMMC level 2 third party. But now I just read something Saturday evening that well, no, maybe not. Maybe the prime can give a little grace to their subs. So that is, to me, is part of the problem, that there's really no direction, right? I mean, CMMC has your small and medium-sized business is probably not going to be staring at level 3.
Oh, right, right.
Be staring at level 1 and level 2.
Right.
Level 1 is 100% self-assessment. It's 15 controls. I'm sorry, what do they call them now? Practices. We had to change that word. 15 practices.
Just to confuse things.
Right. And, the bad news is it's pass-fail. You can't put together a plan of action, milestones. You've got to hit all the marks, but they're not that high watermark level, really.
It's probably something that they should be doing all those anyway.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And let's be honest, Greg, they've been raising their hand for the past 11 years saying, yes, I'm doing these things.
Yeah, I mean, they've been attesting to it, so hopefully I'm sure that there are folks out there that were probably like being loose with their attestation because there was no repercussions at the time, but hopefully that's the minority.
Yeah, exactly. And then, when they go to tackle it, what they have to do is use the materials that the Cyber AB has given you. You can, I've heard people complain and everything else about them, but they're really pretty good. They're written in plain English.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just go through and you read them and you reach out to some experts, you can figure out pretty quickly what are the things that you really need to bite on first. And for folks who have not explored CMMC, each practice is given a point value, and it's 5, 3, or 1. I think are the 3 point values. Hit the 5 pointers first, because without those you can't move forward. And then, but bite it off in small chunks, and remember that you do have some negotiating room in that. If you're, somebody comes to you and says, you have to hit, be CMMC level whatever by this date, say, hold on, guys, I need a little bit more time, but there's got to be some horse trading we can do here. So,
can you self-assess for level 2?
Under certain circumstances, yes. Mm-hmm. However, the DoD in their and the phrase
infinite wisdom.
That's it. In their infinite wisdom, gave everybody a whole lot of wiggle room. So let's take for example, the whole controlled unclassified, critical or controlled? Controlled unclassified.
I think it's controlled. Yeah.
I think CUI. We'll just go with that.
There you go.
The whole CUI is structure is governed by the National Archives. And they have taken CUI and they've busted it up into groups, right? And the one that the DoD is most concerned with is the defense group, which has things in it like nuclear propulsion systems, code, all what you would think would be in there. Well, PII and PHI is another group that is within the CUI universe. Mm-hmm. If you read the January 17th, 2025 memo, it tries to be very clear that if any information that falls into the NARA DoD group is level 2 third-party assessment, there's no wiggle room. But the other groups are eligible for self-assessment. And I think it was defense logistics going on 3 weeks ago now, even they put out a forecast that said that they're looking at about 75% of their contracts being self-assessment eligible. Great, right? That's wonderful news. Except there's one line in that memo, in that January 17th memo, that says, at the discretion of the contracting officer, they can require whatever level of CMMC they want to.
Well, I mean, I suppose that would be the case if you really bring it out at a higher level. A primary contractor for anything can put whatever requirements they have on the subs that come to them. I mean, so in that way of looking at it, it's not that much different. But this is in the CMMC universe where it all combines together and people are on the same page. While you were talking, I did look it up. It is in fact controlled and classified information, because the more that I started to think about it, the more my brain started to hurt. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is it? It's just like, but it's one of those questions where it's like, if you're just walking down the street and somebody asks you, it comes right out. But if you start thinking about it, it's like, that's when you start to have a brain drain there. Now, but you mentioned also that there are tools out there. I think you did from
the CyberAB.
The CyberAB. Isn't one of that? It's been a while since I've done a CMMC assessment, self-assessment with a client, but they have a great spreadsheet out there which actually calculates the points for you on following all of NIST 800-171A. Correct?
Yeah, there are a number of tools out there, and they're absolutely for free. And I don't know if you want me to give a plug to somebody or not, but there's a number of spreadsheets out there that you can use that, if you're honest with yourself, can give you a very good view of where you are. But you get the bonus value of they've already done the crosswalk work. So if you want to deal with, if you have to deal with CMMC and NIST 800-171, great. But there are a number of these tools that'll do the crosswalk to 853, to ISO 27001, to the cybersecurity framework, the CMF, and even RMF. So, really look around and see if you can find those. But then at another level, the CyberAB has out there, you go out to the office of the DoD CIO, and you look at their CMMC page. They've got the model, they've got the scoping guide, they've got the assessment guide, they've got the assessment process, they've got their facts. They have a printout of both DFARs that you have to look. They are not hiding anything. It is all out there in the public domain, and you can pull it down and use it. And if you're really good with AI, you can have your favorite tool crank through it all. It's all there. And one of the biggest mistakes that I have seen small and moderate sized businesses make is they make up their own stuff. They grab 800-171, and that's all they run with. Right? 800-171A has all sorts of additional discussions in it to help you make a decision whether or not you're meeting the practice. The assessment guide, the CMMC assessment guide, has additional information in it that helps you.
And each one of those has a point value associated with it, 5, 3, or 1, is what you were saying before.
Right. Each practice does. Right.
Right.
That's a little bit interesting to find. There's a couple documents that you have to dig up. But again, if you find one of these really good tools that independents have made, it's all in there for you.
You can go ahead and give a shout out if you wanted to.
I can. Okay. Yeah. It's the what you want to do is you want to search on the CM, and now darn it, Greg, see what you're doing. The CMMC Center of Awesome. And it's run by SourceForge. They have a wonderful, a great public domain. It's under one of the licensing tools out there. It's not GNU, it's something else.
Right.
But they say you can use this for anything you want. You can even use it in your practice and sell it to other folks. That kind of thing. But it's huge, it's daunting, but if you use it, it's invaluable.
Awesome. Well, all this stuff with CMMC and just in our industry in general, because it's confusing and because it's so important, particularly um, ensuring the security of critical data. Because in the end, it's like we're not so much trying to do this just to check boxes in on a spreadsheet or anything. We really want to like protect information, which in turn protects people. That's a huge responsibility, and it takes a lot of effort, and that can be stressful. And I know also I love talking with entrepreneurs that own their own business. I can never really say solopreneur.
It's hard.
So I just solo entrepreneur. There we go. I'll just say the whole thing together. And there's a lot of stresses with that too, because people who have not walked down that road don't understand the stress. And I appreciate in the beginning you saying about the networking part. I meant to add to that. I'm writing a book right now called "So You Want to Be an Information Security Consultant," and literally yesterday, I was on the section about seeking guidance, and the TLDR was you have to network. So I totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
But I digress. I'll get back on point. You have to deal with the stresses in a positive, healthy manner. What's one of the things that you do to de-stress from all the stresses of being a solo entrepreneur and in the information and cybersecurity field?
Well, first of all, you see the two speakers behind me.
Yes, sir.
I like to tell folks that I don't always start my day with Enter Sandman by Metallica, but when I do, so does everybody in Williamson County. So that's number one. But number two, I have been a PC gamer since Wolfenstein came out.
Oh gosh.
And so I have a very hard and fast rule that, I do not work past 5:15, 5:30. You've got to at some point, because I mean, if you don't set that boundary for yourself, you will doom scroll Discord until the sun comes up.
Yeah.
So I turn that off and I go over to my personal PC and I fire up Civilization 6 and go out and conquer the world. And if I can get it to run right, I love to build settlements in Fallout 4. That's a big. I like to build things. I don't care what the game is, that sort of thing. So I've got those two things. Like I said, I've got my facility security officer over there. He's a cockalier that he really helps de-stress and that sort of thing. But it's just you've got to put the work away, and you've got to find something else that makes you happy.
Now, is that part of the facility security officer's job description, or are you just kind of like loading up more roles and responsibilities without adequate compensation?
He gets kibble and he gets little treats throughout the day. I've got a bag of treats over here in my desk, and he's got a Kong that I'll fill up and throw for him, and that makes
it sounds like then that he's well compensated. I always like trying to fight for everybody. So getting a little bit of feedback there. Is that
no? It's my luxurious office is right over the garage, and my wife is heading out to do her networking.
Okay, well that makes me feel better, because I'm like, suddenly it's just like, where is that coming from? It's like, sometimes I'll get the buzz and I'll have to reset my microphone here, but that was a little bit more than a buzz.
Really? Well, tell us about you got picked up.
Yeah. Well, tell me about future plans. What you got coming down the road there, Rick?
Rich? Future plans are I want to keep helping folks out. That's my main driver. I want to grow the business. I would love to be able to tell you that, in 3 years I'm going to have a stable of 5 or 6 CCAs and LCCAs. But really, I am more in the pre-assessment world. The readiness assessments, gap analysis, things like that. But really, like I said, this business is only 6 months old. Well, 7 months, I guess now. So we'll have this conversation again in 8 months when it's just over a year, and we'll see where we're at. Yeah, but I think that the future is bright.
Yeah, would love to have the opportunity to potentially work together at some point in time. I know we get folks coming to us about CMMC readiness on occasion. So and we're local, so I mean,
Yeah.
we'll need to talk about that offline. But Rich, listen, I appreciate you joining us today. That has been a fascinating conversation that went a lot faster than I thought it would. It's like I thought we were just beginning, and I looked up at the clock, and it was 23 minutes, and I'm like, whoa, I got to get to the wrap up here. Oh my gosh! So
Thank
maybe
you.
we'll get a chance to dive in a little bit deeper on a future episode. But thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And everybody, stay secure.